So, on today's Success and Excuses, we have Ray Black, managing partner of Think Partnership. Welcome to Success and Excuses podcast, Ray.
Delighted to be here, James, and when I got the invite I thought I can't wait, really can't wait.
Brilliant. Listen, why don't you tell us a wee bit of background?
Okay, well, I'm from a wee village called Sanquhar in Dumfriesshire, halfway between Dumfries
I
and
know
Ayr.
where Sanquhar is.
Robbie Burns used to stop there and he's...
Do you know how I know it? Because see, when I was a young boy,
Aye.
we had a caravan at Ballantrae,
All right.
and we used to go through Sanquhar.
Right, so you went down Croy, Carmennick Pass, brilliant.
That's right, aye.
Well, here's another wee connection. My mum's 98, still alive, right? She was a clippy in the double-decker buses that used to come from Sanquhar to Lanark.
Oh, there you go.
And I says, so in the winter and everything, you imagine double-deckers,
Aye.
right? So I says to her recently, I said, Mum, why did the buses go from Sanquhar to Lanark? Because it seems strange, doubles. Loads of miners went from Lesmahagan, the coalfields there, down to the Ayrshire coalfields,
Right.
and they used to go back and see their families at the weekends.
So that was the bus run.
Plus, we connection with Lanark. So I've worked in Lanark for 26 years of my career. So,
All right, okay, wow.
so yeah, so from Sanquhar, no idea how I got into the print industry. Ended up at college studying print. I'll tell you that's another story. But I started in design in Lockerbie, constructional design, because at school I was thinking about this. I never passed an English exam in my life, but I passed every other one.
Aye.
Loved technical drawing. That was probably my favourite subject.
Yeah.
Mechanics, maths, whatever. So I became a
I didn't like any of that, and I became an engineer.
Aye, well, and you're writing books. So I was a designer before CAD, right?
Right.
So I drew in a drawing table and I'd cut production samples out by hand. So our sample makers had flat thumbs through cutting off the top of your thumb.
Yeah.
So I used to
Flat
watch...
and bent thumbs.
Flat and bench, yes. And I used to watch the reps coming in, Edinburgh and Glasgow, and that they were in the whisky industry. They were working down south. We were making packs for whisky, DIY products, Flymo, Black and Decker, and they come into with these sketches and stuff. And I'm looking at these guys in their Ford Cortinas and their suits, and I thought, do you know, I could do that. So,
By the way, that's my story in life.
aye,
I can do that, so I go do it.
that was it. I thought I can do that, and ended up moving to Edinburgh. Moved up to Let's Diaries. Production coordinator, progress chaser. I moved up there. My wife partner at the time moved to Scottish Newcastle, but I was progress chaser on the bindery, 400 orders. But you don't realise when you're using diaries, you've got to make them all year. You don't, the better last. So they used to count week numbers, and basically I got delivery achievement from 35% to about 85% in 9 months. Getting to know the production guys. We don't need that 500,000, we need that 300 diaries special edition. But I'd got the bug for packaging, and I went into my packaging career. Mainly I worked with a company called Field, who are now in East Kilbride. They're now Smurf at Westrock.
Yeah, I know exactly where that. Well, my house is no far from there.
Well, I was
I'm up there. I'm up West Craigs up there.
Yeah, I used to do, and I was staying in Edinburgh, so I was the A72.5 driver.
Oh, dear.
And then I hit a ceiling. There was 2 sales directors, and I saw this job in Tanachside, a sales director. I thought, I'll give that a lash. So I phoned about the company, and I phoned a guy, Bobby Thompson. I know he was Lockerbie. I said, Bobby, I'm thinking to join this company. He said, that's going to shut. Joined them. A biggest whiskey company now, took away a third of the turnover, 5 million out of 15 million just as a join, but we grew it to 27 million. So,
wow.
Success or excuses?
Absolutely.
Teamwork, sleeves up. So, after 36 years in packaging, I ended up sales director 16 years. I always tell people I started at Tanachside with hair and a 10 golf handicap.
Listen, I want to go to the sales director, right? Because
Right.
I had a guest on earlier, and they're a sales company,
Yes.
right? And we were talking about sales and sales. What makes a good sales director? What makes a good salesperson, in your opinion?
That's a very good question, because there's a lot of studies done in it. If you look at a sales force and you've got 10 salespeople, you probably have one maverick and nobody can understand how they do it, right? You'll probably have...
I've got a maverick.
Aye. And you'll have 4 or 5 people maybe around or above average, 2 below average, If this is up to 10-2, you would rather not have employed. That's the fit everywhere, because nobody sets out their career to be a salesman.
That's right.
We worked
That's
with
exactly
Fraser
what we
Morrison in Singapore, 1,000 Steps, still work with Fraser. He studied this for 15 years. And today, how do you sell in a world
I know Fraser.
where nobody wants to be sold to? Well, I'm still working with Fraser as well.
He's both. It's what kind of training is it he does? It's sales, LinkedIn and all that, isn't it? This is something steps, isn't it?
It's 1,000 Steps.
1,000 Steps.
But Fraser was training in sales, right?
Right.
So he was training people in Singapore to do business development, and it was actually a company was doing software for banks, because Singapore's a big financial company for India. They had a piece of software that could be used for small farmers for motorbikes, massive business. So Fraser had these executives, and going through training, they went, you do it yourself, Fraser. He went, well, I'm here to train you. No, you do it. He went, okay, I'll do it. So we pivoted from training, and he's now doing BD for about 60 execs around the world, 50 staff. So so what makes a good sales, back to that. So I've seen surveys. Customers have a sort of jaundiced views of sales, maybe because of one-off sales and whatever. I've always been relationship selling. Customers actually...
Pushy sales normally, it's what puts you off, yeah.
Try to close this, close that. And customers actually want to speak to experts. They want to speak to people who can empathise with their business. They want to speak to people who are problem solvers, and they can trust. Trust is the ultimate thing.
No, like, and trust. That's the famous saying, isn't it?
Now, I've been in a situation where we've had technical because I came from design, right? And it's just about sales is about having conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you need to try hard to sell to somebody, you're in the wrong meeting. So, in sales, if you put a process in, you need to give people a process, because people are... And sales training, when did sales training stop? Hardly anybody. The big companies stopped it. Around the noughties, everybody thought the world was going to go digital. They didn't realise people need to deal with people.
We've got a sales coaching company that come in and help our sales stuff.
Aye.
They're called the Sales Coach.
Should have given us a shout.
I didn't know you did that though, did I?
Right, aye. No, and I love it. I mean, I help individual students with their LinkedIn, but sales is about just putting experts together.
Absolutely.
With passion. So what makes a good salesperson? You've got to give them a process to work to, and they've got to have the work ethic, they've got to have the passion. And
that's the hardest part, isn't it? That ethic.
Yes. And I think you're born with work ethic.
Aye.
So, if that answers your question, if you've got an expert who's got a passion to do it, they can make a salesman. The days of flashy salesmen, people have got the internet and everything, and
absolutely.
And we don't even train in closing skills, because if you need to try hard to close a sale, you're in the wrong meeting.
Absolutely, you've not asked the right questions.
Absolutely, it's about asking questions.
Questions.
Yes, I'm learning that after actually the last 5 years, after 40 years, it's about asking questions.
It's about asking the right questions. I always say preparations. Question, prepare. Who are they? What kind of business they're in? Who's their competitors? What are they?
Yeah, thank you.
Who's their competitors? All these things.
Absolutely, research.
And then plan the questions. You can actually plan questions in advance.
We do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, plan it in advance, and then by asking the right questions, the person generally, if you ask them the right way, they will open up, because people do like talking about themselves and their businesses. They'll open up. And then all you need to do is confirm that you can actually have something that can fill that gap. If you can't, a good salesperson say, listen,
not now, but keep in touch. Because nobody's ready to buy from you today. So, that question, and a lovely technique, a positive question, right? James, I assume things are going okay with sales just now, and everything's in place for the next 12 months?
No.
No? All right. What's up? Exactly.
Well, everybody, it depends, right? So it depends, right? If somebody came to me, let's say I seen a post on Facebook, right? Let's say you put a post, Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't know Facebook. LinkedIn. I'm huge on LinkedIn, as you know. I'm regularly writing on it. And I see a post, right? And it talks about, I'm reading it and it's got all my pain points. I'm not going to say, I don't have that problem and I've got that problem. I mean, that's one thing about me as a business owner. I'm brutally honest.
Just say it,
I'll just say, I'll send you a message saying, by the way, I loved your post, I need your help.
And
so I won't, if I know I've got a problem, I'll tell you I've got a problem.
Exactly, but you're different from the norm. Normally people are a bit protective. LinkedIn is not a sales tool. LinkedIn is your newspaper.
But it's a brilliant place.
It's a brilliant
to meet
place.
business owners. I get
Fantastic
loads of work in LinkedIn.
Well, we're starting. It's about hitting the right note with what you're doing, and I'm starting.
Consistency.
Yes.
That's the magic.
Uh-huh.
It's consistency,
And
don't sell on it.
Absolutely.
Just talk about all the challenges. You know me, I write about anything. Any challenge I face, I just write something about it.
What was a couple I saw? Well, the one this morning was about loads of tiny small decisions.
Absolutely.
And there's another one. God,
was it last week?
It was about the stress of management. Right?
Stress of running a business in general.
P&L responsible. I've been there. I didn't get the end. I was 16 years as sales director and then 4 years sales director and general manager for Scotland. That's so you can imagine driving back to Edinburgh, giving us Ladoon for the sales. It's never ever been done again. Beat budget every year, but I knackered myself after 36. Absolutely knackered. Year off, then I worked in third sector for 3 years. Real eye opener. When you've got no budget and you've got to perform, I mean that. The chairman when he employed me, so I'd really knackered myself just through hard work.
Burnt yourself out basically.
Absolutely, my brain just ceased. I had 36 years and 9 months, brilliant. In 3 months, I was just stopped. So recovered. First thing I did was collected for Macmillan in Marks and Spencer's, Princess Street. Then I worked in the sports charity, and I remember saying to the chairman, this was the biggest community sports club in Scotland. Areas of high deprivation, the inch in Edinburgh, drugs, crime, everything. 85 football teams, 5-year-old to 18-year-old, cricket and rugby. Try putting the three of them together. And I came in and said, right, we want to rent space, we want to get sponsorship. I've come up with this digital booklet. I can get 150 of them for 100 quid. You've no budget, Ray. I went, it's 100 quid because I had to go to the board. You've no budget. I thought, so what did I do? I got 500 quid with advertising. Success and excuses,
Absolutely.
And I thought, God, the charities.
My world, success and excuses.
The charities, and people need to experience what people have got to put up with in the charity world. It's difficult. So did that. COVID, that came to an end. And then started with Fraser, did something else. But I met Gavin 5 years ago, Gavin Tweedy, who's a Wishaw boy. Yeah. No, he's from Wishaw, yeah. His father was Tweedy the Builders in Wishaw. He went to New Mains Primary.
Right, that's the school I went to, New Mains Primary.
So I ended
Wishaw High.
Well, it was New Mains Primary. I think there's 2 schools you could go to. Gavin went to one, whatever. But Gavin grew up there. His father was a builder. So he's my business partner, right? So I'm
connected with Gavin.
Are you?
I'm connected with Gavin on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so you need to meet him because same area. So found out Gavin and I had a sort of affinity, and his background is he built 7 technology companies in the west coast of America.
Seen it, read on your website.
And well, you've read up, and it became totally disillusioned. So all of this skill, and then he thought, I want to leave this world a better place for my family.
That's why I get into this as well. I was working oil and gas. I had an incredible life.
Yes.
Fancy cars, fancy house. I had an incredible life. Crazy money. And I was miserable.
Aye. Well, do you know what?
I was absolutely miserable.
I was thinking about it. When I was in the corporate world, I'm budgets, answerable, and you're contained. People's health and safety.
Yeah.
You'd be involved in it. You're in training, whatever you did. And I bought Paul McKenna's book, I Can Make You Rich. I think I want to be rich because I need, I can't keep going at this. And I read it. Richness is up there.
Absolutely.
Do you know what?
Mindset.
And I've done my corporate bit, and we're now focused on impact. We want to help businesses understand a lot that's going on around the world around net zero and sustainability. It's been demonised. It's actually just business efficiency. That's all.
Absolutely. And that's the Think Partnerships thing, and that's sustainability, that green energy, that whole holistic view of business. So
the whole thing is, here's some statistics for you. So I worked with Gavin 5 years, found out we were both born the same day. We're birthday brothers. I happen to be 15 years older, but that's another thing. But Gavin looked at statistics. He's the guy's mind is phenomenal. Everything. He was selling software over the world, stuff or whatever, but solutions. And you'd net zero. There's a lot of money been spent in net zero.
Yeah, crazy money.
There's 360,000 SMEs in Scotland. 98.5% of the companies have less than 50 employees, responsible for 42% of emissions. They were given no methodology to measure that. So if you're not measuring 42%, how do you know if you're getting the journey? So we built a not-for-profit. I joined Gavin. 200 companies got in their journey. We actually helped because I'll just give you my theory, because having been in manufacturing, I went, hang on a minute. What you're looking at here is improve your processes, reduce energy, train your people, innovate, be good to your employees and your community. Okay, look at your suppliers, treat them well.
Pay on time.
Pay on time. But that's what the best companies in the world do.
Absolutely.
If you take emissions into cognizance and say, right, we're going to look at emissions here and measure it, but there's a lot of too many. It was made too complex. So we demystified it and turned it into, because if you get it this right, you will turn it into business advantage.
Yeah.
Because the biggest organisations, if you look at their EG, they're looking for supply chains, and we've changed the terminology from net zero and sustainability to responsible growth. Now, what company leader would not want to say they're responsible?
Absolutely.
And so if you say, right...
The problem with smaller businesses, when they think, whether we like it or not, particularly your kind of micro businesses, maybe less than 10 employees, that just looks like cost.
Yes.
That just looks like cost.
Absolutely.
It's not until you become quite a profitable business when you can say to yourself, like, for example, we get a percentage of our revenue away to charities. We always choose something. Right now we're sponsoring Glasgow Care Foundation. So every year we sponsor our charity.
Yep.
And we put a percentage of our revenue, responsibility, social responsibility. We go into schools, we do free talks. I'm going into, at the end of this month, I'm going to Glasgow College.
Fantastic.
To do 4 1-hour sessions around this stuff.
Yep.
For all the business students.
So what's that costing you?
My time, that's it.
Right, exactly.
Just my time.
So see that time? There's a thing called the social impact calculator. And something that if you spend $5,000 in your time, you have put £60,000 worth of value.
Wow. Is that right?
Social impact, community wealth building. So how can a small business benefit? We helped one company, a security company. They were quoting for a massive UK contract. In fact, it's published on the website. They were quoting for a security for the National Libraries of the UK. Every company failed in ESG, environment, social impact and governance. We started them their net zero programme, helped them with social impact through an organisation called Powering Futures. Don't know if you've heard of them.
No.
I'll write to them later about them. And we helped them because it was 30% of scoring on that tender.
Wow.
The highest ever was ESG. Everybody was below half marks. They went back to tender. We helped them. They scored full marks. They won an 8-figure contract over 5 years, doubled their workforce just through getting that right.
Wow.
So it's not all about money. But the other thing I've said to customers, we've got to do this. You don't need to do anything. You need to offer the choices. For instance, people think, I must get electric vans. No. If you're running a fleet of vans, you say, okay, I've got to renew my vans. What's the available technology? Can that technology meet the operational needs of me, the distance, the needs and whatever? If electric technology can't meet it, you're going to have to invest in hybrid or diesel.
Yep.
But you can evidence, I've looked at the technology now, I will relook at the technology in 4 years. It's about choices, making choices, starting to document evidence because environment, social impact, 5 and 10 years ago it was marketing speak. Now you must have concrete evidence. So companies, yes, you need to invest, but you've got to invest anyway to survive. We're working on a program with a client where we're working with a big engineering client, and they supply high-spec motors into oil and gas, nuclear, etc. And we're talking to them saying, well, you can get variable... I might be out my depth here technically.
I'm the VSD expert.
So you can get variable speed motors or other motors,
Fixed.
right?
So variable speed or fixed?
So how much is a variable speed?
You can adjust the speed, the frequency.
So how much is a variable speed compared to fixed?
That's a hell of a lot more expensive.
What energy will we save through time buying that?
Loads.
Exactly. So
Longevity of life.
Absolutely. And so
more controllable. It's got hundreds of advantages.
And you've had a good point there, because we've trained Lanarkshire companies. See, when you train people in this, circularity, right? So we now train the sustainable principles. You've got net zero, which is actually just measuring emissions around activity. Circularity, right? I worked in building sites for holidays and whatever, did various jobs, as I'm sure you did. When I worked in a building site, we had a lorry.
I started it as a Sparky.
A Sparky, well, we took all the waste back to the plant, sorted it right. Now you've got skips. Have you ever looked at a skip? That's just money. There's 1 million tonnes of plasterboard goes into skips, right? So say you get the plasterboard, you can now get it made to the right size. This is just about reducing waste.
Right.
It's about if you're able to recycle your rubble and stuff, get it into foundations or whatever. It's about a
lot of things that people don't think about.
Well, a lot
that
of them
makes a difference. Basically, is what you're saying, isn't it?
But that knowledge, if you inspire the shop floor, that's where the ideas. So we're actually training operators. We want to get this into colleges. Everything we've learned, we want to get this into colleges, because the jobs of the future, either believe or don't believe we've got to make the planet a place, is about giving operators, senior managers the knowledge, middle manager have got to implement it, but it's the shop floor who've got to deliver it. And that's where the ideas come from.
Absolutely.
So it's sustainability. Yes, there might be investment, but there's a hell of a lot more than just common sense and good business practice.
Brilliant. Listen, I want to talk a wee bit, but obviously you've been a leader in the past, and you've led teams and all that. What makes a good leader?
That's a very good question.
What do you think makes a good leader?
I was thinking about this. Loads of people are promoted because they're good at their job, rather than be good at the job. Okay?
That's how most people are promoted, because they're really good at something.
I
then they go into leadership and management, they've got no training, they've never been trained, and all of a sudden they're supposed to be good leaders and managers.
I had no training as a sales director, but I moved from business development sales director, 14 staff, and I thought it'd be, right, I've got to go and see customers. I might be going playing golf on a Friday afternoon. I'm always going to be there. I'll be there to help you. No. When you're sales director, everything comes through your desk. You've got to look after. You must look after your team. And I had a fantastic HR manager beside me, Jill, who worked with me 20 years. You maybe see one of the older posters, 4 of us meet who worked together for 20 years. You got loads of transigent managers who pass through. But I remember saying to Jill, it was no easy. Bear in mind, we'd lost a third of turnover, right? And you're talking possible closure. I says, do I like to be liked? She says, Ray, you're not here to be liked, you're here to manage. Being liked is a bonus. So that...
You're here to lead.
You're here to lead, yes. And do you know the way I led, James? I got a great kick out of helping people to succeed. And you know what?
It's great leadership.
That actually helped me succeed.
Absolutely.
I was probably the first.
Listen, I've got a statistic or a saying. The only way that you're going to get what you want from life is to help enough people get what they want from
Absolutely.
life. I believe that's I call it servant leadership or trust and inspire.
Yep.
If you really get to understand your people enough, right, and you really take time, genuinely willing to invest in them, you show them that you care, you show them that you're interested, you try and help them be the best salesperson, best whatever, that's what I call great leadership.
Yeah. And do you know, I wonder how much of this is instinct or...
It's learned, by the way. Most of it's learned.
Aye.
It's
That's what you're looking at. You know, you look at training people, and I've listened to your training. A lot of it's just totally logical, but people, when you're in that cauldron of leadership, you actually don't get time to step outside and think, how should I be doing this?
You don't, because what happens, right, and when I built this, we worked with a lady called Catherine Leach, right, and she was one of the world's foremost in adult education.
Yep.
And she says, James, the reason I started is because most training programmes that I'd said either myself or my staff had been on were crap.
Yep.
right? Leadership management programs. We're all about theory and
Yep.
Maslow's hierarchy needs, and they're all good to know, but they're no leadership, right? They weren't, for me, they weren't moving the dial.
Yep.
And I thought, I think I can do this better. So we were working with this lady called Kathleen Leach, and she said, James, the problem you're going to face is most people who come on your training program are going to be rooted in management. The telling, the directing, the batting orders, the showing people, the coming up with all the solutions. She says, that's no leadership. She says, and you're going to teach this whole new way of communicating. And that's about getting involved and asking questions and making them be accountable and more resilient. He says, and you're going to be talking about something and it's just going to bounce right off them. They're going to be sitting there going, sounds good, but probably won't work for me. And guess what? You're right. It won't work for them. She says, so your job is going to have to be how you bypass that, we call it the filter, right? That mindset of that won't work for me. She says, there's only 3 ways of doing that, James. She says, the first one is questions. She says, in your programme, you have to be asking lots of questions. She says, the second one, James, is quotes.
Yep.
Because quotes help people reflect, right? Questions, remember, quotes help people reflect.
Yep.
She says, and the third part is you need to tell lots of stories.
Aye.
She says, because stories is when people really open up their mind and then they start looking at all the potential opportunities and the potential things in their brain. She says, and if you do those 3 things well, she says, you will have a world-class training programme. And everything we teach is based around those 3 principles.
Yep.
Questions, quotes, and stories.
And I think, I can relate to that because, I was trained by 3M for selling. Well, what was your first sale, by the way? What was the first thing you ever sold?
The very first thing I ever sold was insurance.
Aye. What was your first deal?
It was life insurance. No life insurance. It was accident insurance.
Yes.
For a company called American Insurance, AI something. Can't remember the name of them. And it was based in Scotland. So I was a Sparky, gave it up, went into sales, and I was selling insurance. And it was actually in Larbert, and it was either a Tesco's or it was one of the big supermarkets in Larbert. I was in their canteen and other staff, and I was sold them.
Oh, you were there to sell the staff
insurance,
belter,
personal insurance was the very first thing, and then I started selling chemicals. It was like a kind of franchise.
go back to that. What was the first deal? What was the first actual deal?
Selling life insurance.
How much? How much was it?
I made £26 off it. It cost the person, I think it was like £6 a month.
Brilliant.
And they paid it for you, but you get paid up front.
How did you feel?
Amazing. On top of the world. And then but see, this is what I find about sales, right? You need to have thick skin. Because you're going to get lots of no's. Right? You're going to get a hell of a lot more no's than you'll ever get a yeses. Yep. But I always think, this is my new philosophy, or it's been for a long, long time now, is a no is an unanswered yes.
Yes.
It means you haven't asked the right questions.
You've asked the wrong question.
Exactly. So that's how I look at it. I know that's good. I know it's all right. Like, unless they actually say, block you, I know it's okay. Have you asked the right question? Have you really found out because, by the way, another thing about I believe in sales is don't sell somebody something they don't need.
Absolutely.
Because that's your whole pushy sales scenario.
Do you know the whole thing? My whole approach to sales has changed. First meeting, you won't get any sales without a first meeting, right? Yeah. If you're in repeated business above a certain value, and customers don't want to hear how many factories you've got or whatever. Yeah. Customers you're in the room because they know you.
Yeah.
You're in that room to ask educated questions about their value areas. And it's when you ask somebody questions about their value areas, and I think I'm still trying to develop my listening.
Yeah.
I need to develop my listening.
That's a skill set as well, remember. I ask questions and I shut up. I ask questions and I shut up.
I'm training myself to do it and getting better at it. But it's what you can learn. Because you can be in there and totally agree. You have to have written down the questions because meetings can move so fast. But you need to listen because the conversation might go in a different direction.
Absolutely.
And you need to pick that up, note it, and go back to it. So, it's great. Gavin and I, when we're meetings, we critique each other after it. How did that go? Did that go well? And I love training people in this. Yeah. I get a real buzz out of training people. So, So, like I said, my first sale was in Denny, not far from Larbert.
Yeah. Wow. There you go.
2 boxes of adhesive tape to a bra factory. 36 quid. That was my starting package. I can remember my first cold
I was,
call.
by the way, in commission only when I was doing the
right.
insurance. It was no salary. It was commission only. So one sale wasn't enough.
Aye.
You had to get in a week, 5, 6, 7, 8 sales in a week.
And you'd moved from... what? See, when you first went out that first day selling... Cause,
Terrified.
Yeah. I was the
Don't
same.
get me wrong. I went down to, before I did it, they flew me down to, no flew me, I actually got trained, I drove down to a place, Cheshire, was it maybe? Cheshire.
Yep.
And I did a full week's intensive training. Right, hotel, food, everything, alcohol, the whole shit. And it was a full week's really intensive training. So I felt like I really knew the product. Right, so I felt comfortable. But see that walking into a place that nobody knows you, they don't even know what you're there for, and saying, look, do you mind, what time's your staff having a meeting at?
Aye.
Yeah, or what time do they stop for the lunch?
That was a brilliant tip for
Is
you.
it alright if I come into the canteen and I'll just as they come in and out, I'll just give them some information, and if aye, that's all right.
Love
and
it.
that was kind of how I did it. So rather than chat, a lot of people would go and chap doors. I used to go to businesses and say, what time's your lunch? What time do they stop for break? Oh, wait, it's all mixed breaks. Probably. What time's the first break? Do you mind if I sit in the canteen? Listen,
Phenomenal.
I won't annoy them. And that was so I could you imagine some people are just like, what you want?
Who's that?
And I was just a young guy, but that taught me a lot about having nerves of steel.
So I wish I'd been a bit more organised than that, but I just went cold calling industrial. Well, I was selling the industry, so
Well, that's the best learning, by the way, is cold calling.
So I remember, I think it was a company called Robertson's who were in Bank End Industrial Estate, and I thought, again, I am terrified. You know who? Really terrified.
Absolutely.
And the other thing, I thought, nobody's there to tell me what to do.
Aye.
I've got to do.
It's on your shoulders.
Do it myself. So I went through the door. It was a bell. I lifted the phone. Nobody there because it touches. I just kind of leave a brochure. Come out. I thought, I've done it. I've done it. That was 1984.
There you go. Wow. Listen, we're getting quite close to the end. Is there anything that you think that we'll get to the three questions? I ask everybody the top three pieces of advice in life, but before we get to that, is there anything that through your experiences in life that you think, only if I knew this when I was younger?
Do you know, I maybe wish I'd learnt a language to do international sales more, because I did sell internationally.
Well, everybody speaks English.
Aye.
That's been my experience. I've lived in a lot of places around the world, and nearly they speak English.
Anything I would change?
Change, advice, anything.
Advice, right.
Okay, we're going to get to the top three pieces of advice, but this is not what I'm asking you. It's just your
tell you what,
experiences in life.
I would make sure whatever you're doing, you're enjoying it.
Aye, brilliant. Right, let's stick at that then. So, somebody's listening to us, Ray, and they're listening to the podcast, they're loving all this stuff, and they're thinking, you've been there, you've bought it, the T-shirt, right? You're supporting businesses, your ESG, and somebody's asked you, they want to hear, what's your top three pieces of advice in business and or in life? If you could, somebody sitting here, here's the three, if you could tell your younger self, or, what would you say to them? What would be the top three pieces of advice?
Okay, so, and let's talk about business, right?
Right.
And a lot of entrepreneurs start, and they're going to start out. One of the most important thing that people get to too late is product market fit.
Yep.
And any business
The
can
very first thing I did.
Yes. So you must have a market. I once spent 1,800 quid on a patent. I thought it was a great idea for scales. I thought, what I did,
Aye.
But you must, and if you're looking at creating a product or service, you must be speaking to your potential market to make sure there's a market.
Yep.
Two, you need to surround yourself with the best people.
Oh, I love it.
Now, that might not always be comfortable. I go back to Jill. She said, I'm here to stick pins in you, Ray. You've got to do your communications. Oh, by the way, my communications was to an east of Scotland, an east of Glasgow workforce from the Gorbals, View Park, Bells Hill, whatever. Yeah. And I'm standing there sweating, state of the nation as general manager. By the way, when I burnt out, the factory floor wrote me a wee poem, one of the proudest moments of my career. So you've got to surround yourself with good people, and that might not be comfortable, people that challenge you. And I think you've got to work hard and enjoy it. I've got 3 pieces of advice I used to build into my communication. So I'm communicating to a workforce about state of the nation, right? And the market fiberboard packaging could go up and down, even though we worked for a global giant. We were at the coalface buying materials. I used to say to them, look, we're here. The company must make money. And this is
If you don't make money, you don't have a company. End of.
We must make money because we must make money to help you to pay your mortgage. That's what, and we all do everything we do, and you've got to enjoy it.
Yeah.